I was up in Vermont in the cool of the Green Mountains, and I realized that we've been celebrating the 4th of July while we're trampling the Bill of Rights. And, I think it was Julian Assange himself who said that we set out to bring the First Amendment to the world. Little did we know that our greatest struggle would be when we tried to bring the First Amendment to the United States. Assange is a publisher. Nobody denies that he published the truth. Anything he ever published was the truth. And the truth revealed war crimes and government lies to the U.S. Congress and to the people. Obama did not prosecute him because of freedom of the press. Trump, in his war on journalism, shattered precedent and indicted a publisher for publishing the truth. This past April, Biden gets in front of thousands of reporters and proclaims journalism is not a crime. Meanwhile, his Department of Justice is prosecuting this publisher who published the truth. It's outrageous. Julian Assange is nonviolent. He is presumed innocent, and yet somehow or other, he has been imprisoned in solitary confinement for 4 years. That is torture. The UN says it's torture. The World Medical Association says it's torture. He revealed the truth, and for that, he is suffering. And that's why we need to do whatever we can to help him and to help preserve our democracy, which is based on freedom of the press. It seems to me that right now, unless things change, and unless we change them, freedom of the press is going up in smoke. And so now I'm going to light this Bill of Rights in 4 places. One for each year that that Assange has been held in solitary confinement. Here's the thing. There's no democracy without freedom of the press. Because the press is the only thing that can hold government accountable. And there's no freedom of the press as long as Assange is being prosecuted. We have no choice but to save Assange, save freedom of the press. Now I'm going to go and talk to the Department of Justice. You guys, come on over here. Come on. Very hard. It's hard to get tired. But
you don't have a point to say enough. Please don't talk to
I want to
cannot block the entry. Cannot block the entry of the federal buildings.
the Department of Justice is criminalizing freedom of the press. I have to stop it. We all have to stop it. You have to stop it, or else it's not a democracy anymore.
I'm not interested in what you're saying at all.
Well, I can't get by you.
Sir, you
I'm
can.
honest with that right here.
Here we go. Yes, sir.
So yes, we have to have freedom of the press for peace. What did Julian Assange publish? He published the collateral murder video of Chelsea Manning. Chelsea, a private in the military that wanted to expose the violence of war. If the people do not know the costs of war, how can they be working for peace? War is violent and kills innocent people. I started in the peace movement in the 60s when we saw children being napalmed. He's a publisher that wants to show us the cost of war, so we are enraged and work for peace. Instead, the costs of war are denied us. Instead, he's imprisoned and silenced. We cannot silence the truth. The first casualty of war is the truth. Without publishers that will publish the truth, we are all lost and in the fire of war. It takes more than 50% of our tax dollars. War is the greatest contributor to climate change. We have people living in the streets in the capital of this country. That money needs to go for their needs. That money needs to go for the needs of the people just here in the United States. Just since the collateral murder video, $20 trillion of U.S. taxpayer money has been used on weapons and violence and war, and it comes home to the streets. And right now, we need peace. As Ben said, the way wars end is talking. We need negotiations with Russia, the United States, and Ukraine. We need to stop the killing. It is innocent people who are always dying in war because it is the powers that take them to war. It is the weapons that are making, the people that own the weapons companies are making a killing on killing. We have to stop this. We need to see the truth. And what happens, we are silenced. Everyone is silenced when you put someone in solitary confinement. That is torture. That is torture by the UN, as Ben said. When you do that, you silence others. People know the cost of war. They're going to be silent on it when they're watching someone be tortured for telling the truth. What does that say to our children? What does that say to the children that we put people in jail for telling the truth? For telling the truth. And it's not just 4 years in solitary confinement. It's 10 years confined for telling the truth. The only way we get to peace is by talking about the facts, by talking about the loss of the people, by talking about where our tax money is going. It needs to go to the people, and we need to stop war. If we do not stop war, the planet is over. July 3rd was the hottest day ever recorded on Earth. It is a sin to be at war. To know that is happening, to know the war is the greatest contributor to climate change, and not be stopping war, not be talking, and not be exposing the violence in war. That's a crime. Right, Ben?
Yes, sir.
So what are you doing here, Ben?
I want to go into the Department of Justice and talk to them about how they're criminalizing freedom of the press. No, they won't. It's not the Department of Justice if they're criminalizing freedom of the press.
Yeah, no justice, no peace, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
If we can't have justice, we won't have peace, and we're seeing that right here. That's where those words are playing out right here. If there is no justice for Julian Assange, then we can't have peace because the truth is in prison. And it imprisons other people's voices, not just Julian's.
So why is President Biden pursuing this extradition?
Why is it? I got no idea.
Why isn't he following what Obama did?
Olivia?
It is kind of hard to believe that it was the Obama-Biden administration that decided not to prosecute Assange. Trump decided to indict him, which was precedent-shattering. And now Biden is following in Trump's direction of this war on truth, war on the press, and at the same time saying that journalism is not a crime.
So why can't you meet with Merrick Garland?
These guys won't let me through. I mean, I don't know. It seems like, I just feel like the Department of Justice is acting in an unjust fashion, prosecuting a publisher for publishing the truth. What could be more basic than that? And I don't know why they won't let me through, but they won't.
Mr. Cohen, what responsibility does the Australian government have to be fighting for Julian Assange?
Well, that's a good point. Assange is not even a U.S. citizen, and it's the U.S. that's prosecuting him. If this stands, if the U.S. is allowed to continue this prosecution, the precedent that it sets is that the U.S. can arrest any journalist of any nationality in any country around the world if they print something that the U.S. doesn't like. That is exactly the opposite of freedom of the press. You can't go around saying journalism is not a crime and prosecute a publisher for telling the truth.
Is there any suggestion, do you think, that the administration is rethinking their position on this?
I haven't seen any suggestion. There it is, going up the story of freedom of the press.
Jody, get the free Assange top right. Just hold it.
Free Assange up. Jody, hold that up. So we can Ty.
Kick me in the hand. Lawsuit.
I'll pick it up. Well, I know how it works.
Okay, well, let's discuss it.
Yeah, we ought to brainstorm these
Alright, sir. 13, 15 hours. I have to advise you that you're blocking into a federal facility, which is against the law. You need to remove yourself from the facility, sir. Alright? I have to give you 3 warnings. And after the 3rd warning, if you refuse to leave the entrance, you'll be taken into custody. So,
Ben, why are you willing to go to jail over this?
Julian Assange has been in jail, in maximum security jail, in solitary confinement for 4 years because of his efforts to let me know what my government is doing in my name and with my money. So yeah, if Julian can be there for 4 years, I mean, which is torture, I could be willing to go to jail to support him and to support our right to freedom of the press, which has gone up in smoke.
We're proud of you, Ben, and you, Jody. Thank you.
What is your feeling about American sentiment on this issue? Do you think most people are supportive of the administration's position on this, or Julian Assange?
I think most people are very supportive of the Bill of Rights and freedom of the press. I think most people are not really aware of what's going on, of what the administration is doing to Julian Assange and why they're doing it. I think, you know, if you ask, you know, someone on the street, do you want to destroy freedom of the press? Should the press be able to print uncomfortable truths with which the government is uncomfortable? They would all say yes. Of course, the press should be able to print the truth. So I believe they're in support, but you know, there's so many other issues that the public's dealing with that they haven't had the time to, you know, really get into the details of what's going on here.
And what do you think it is going to take then to get the administration to change its mind?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm going to do as much as I can. I hope that it'll inspire other people to do as much as they can. But, you know, I grew up loving the Bill of Rights and loving our country because it has the Bill of Rights. And if we no longer have the Bill of Rights, I mean, you can say we still have freedom of the press, but as long as Julian Assange is being prosecuted, freedom of the press is just a bunch of meaningless, highfalutin words.
Well, and it's also peace. I mean, right now, we have the largest military budget ever. Probably this year it's $1 trillion spent on war. When you silence one voice, you silence thousands of voices. When you put someone in torturous situation, other people will be silenced. So what do we see as a result of that? We see the largest military budget ever. We see the White House and the Pentagon and the State Department engage in wars in Europe and now trying to do a war in China when China isn't our enemy. If you can't tell the truth about peace, we will all be at war and we all pay those costs. We pay those costs with our tax dollars. Over 50% of our tax dollars go to war to make the weapons manufacturers richer, they get to make a killing on killing. Right now, we need peace. The world needs peace. The planet needs peace. War and weapons are the greatest contributor to climate change. Feel this heat? Climate change. If we do not end war, if we do not stop sending weapons, the planet's over. Alone, the cost of war takes us over the numbers. So we're silencing what needs to be spoken for the people and for the planet and for our future.
Is your expectation that you'll be arrested today? Is that how you think this will play out?
I think that's probably going to happen.
And what will that help as far as the cause? Is that helpful to bringing attention to this issue? Is that how you see your responsibility?
I hope that it will bring more attention to the issue.
How much contact have you had with Julian Assange?
How you doing, sir? Again, Inspector Cooper, Federal Protection Service, letting you know that you're in violation of DC law, blocking the entrance to a federal building. This is your second warning. You need to remove yourself from this area and remove yourself from the entrance. Is that clear? Okay.
is clear.
Okay.
I will remain here to protest the Department of Justice acting in unjust ways.
All right. You realize I don't work for the Department of Justice, so there's nothing that I can really say as far as how they run their facilities or their operations as far as that. But they did deny you entry. They made that clear, and you are in violation of black community. I'll come back in about 5 minutes. After the third warning, if you don't comply, you'll be taken to custody.
I understand.
All right.
Don't so maybe don't threaten to so don't assault someone. We're all here covering the same event, so maybe keep the other two involved.
Yeah.
Hey, Lee! You got some questions for Ben. Lee, you got some questions for Ben?
Sure. Can you talk about how much Julian Assange got wrong in all of his reporting?
Zero. Everything that WikiLeaks has ever published has been absolutely the truth. It's more than you could say for most other mainstream publications.
And when he began reporting, what did other mainstream publications think of it at the beginning?
At the beginning, the mainstream publications, Julian partnered with mainstream publications in terms of releasing the files. He was very diligent about making sure that any particular personal information that would be harmful to people would be redacted. And he worked with these other mainstream media to do that. So, I mean, you know, essentially what Obama said was he's not going to prosecute WikiLeaks and Assange because of the New York Times problem. Because if he prosecuted WikiLeaks and Assange, he'd have to prosecute the New York Times because they printed the same stuff.
Now that we know that Pompeo and the CIA had plans to kill or assassinate Assange, do you feel he'd get a fair trial here in the U.S.?
No, I don't think there's any chance that Assange would get a fair trial.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the global movement to free Assange and why this has become so important around the world?
It's really kind of amazing that there's many, many people around the world that are all working to help free Assange and keep freedom of the press a real thing. You know, he's an Australian citizen. Many people in Australia have been working to free Assange. He's currently in this maximum security prison in the United Kingdom. There have been huge demonstrations there to free Assange. And in the event that he's extradited here to the U.S., there will be huge demonstrations such as the government has never seen before. Americans love freedom of the press, and you can't take it away from us.
Well, I also think that you see it globally because people know the violence of power. And why do we have freedom of press? Because there needs to be someone reporting the truth about the violence of power. And certainly people globally know that and have experienced it more than people that in the United States understand that. And I think that's why people globally want there to be truth tellers. Because here we are, you know, inside the belly of the beast, the empire, and its violence. And when they understand that when you don't have freedom of the press and no one's weaponizes your capacity to feel, to have compassion and empathy, because if you don't have the full story, and if your heart is being manipulated with lies, then we're all lost. How can we have peace in the world if we're just drowning in lies? So I think people in the world understand that, know the value of it, know this is a critical moment. They understand how critical this moment is. That you could have a publisher publish your truth and be tortured. That's a moment of we should all be very seriously looking at as
It was Julian himself who said that if wars can be started by lies, then peace can be started by truth. And I think that's been a big part of his motivation. Is to create a world that's peaceful, where countries aren't going around killing thousands of people. Most every war that the U.S. has been involved in has been the result of lies. We've been lied into war. We cannot allow freedom of the press to be eroded.
What kind of support have you received from other politicians here in the United States? Is there a clear divide, partisan divide on support for Assange, and what are you hearing from different members of Congress and the Senate about their support?
I haven't really been focusing on politicians, but my understanding is that there's politicians on the so-called right and politicians on the so-called left that both support Assange because they believe in freedom of the press.
And should this be an issue of the next election if it plays out for that long, and do you think it could become a big issue?
Absolutely, it should be an issue. I mean, you know, all these politicians wrap themselves in the flag, say how much they care about freedom of the press. Biden talking about journalism is not a crime. He needs to be held to account. People need to say, you're saying the words, but it's bullshit because you're in the process of prosecuting this truth-telling publisher.
Well, I think it's also important to note that the major publications around the world are behind Julian Assange. That they have spoken out. People who are attorneys around the world have spoken out. So, you know, there are whole groups of people, journalists, publishers, lawyers, that know that this is a crime and a miscarriage of justice. And they've been speaking out for almost a decade.
You know, you can kind of understand why the government doesn't like it when people print the truth. I mean, the government is doing things that are against the law, and they don't want people to know about it. So, of course, they want to prosecute a truth-telling publisher. But we, as the governed, and my understanding is that it is government by consent of the governed, we want to know the truth. That's not so bad. And let the chips fall where they may. I mean, if it shows, it embarrasses, particular officials, that's okay. But the truth is what should be supreme.
Sorry, I think I got cut off before. Have you been speaking to Julian Assange recently? How would you describe his mental state? How prepared is he for this fight?
I haven't heard any consequences.
I've been talking to his family, his dad, and his brother, and his wife, and they're heartsick at what's happening.
Free Julian Assange! Free
Okay, so
Julian Assange!
I don't know if you
Free
heard.
Julian
I didn't know. I
Assange!
wasn't know.
Free Julian
Okay,
Assange!
very good.
Free
All right, very
Julian
good.
Assange!
So this is your all's third and final warning, and I understand
Julian
that
Assange!
you're not going to wish to
Free
comply.
Julian Assange!
Okay.
Free Julian
your
Assange!
dignity
Free
and whatnot.
Julian
Take care of
Assange!
you. We have a female officer en route. So we will wait until she arrives before we conduct our business. All right? Okay. All right. You still have time to decide to remove yourself from the property until we actually come back and let you know.
To decide to let me in.
Again, I don't work for the Department of Justice. Until we actually come back over, and the next time we do it will be to take you on into custody. We're just waiting for the female officer to arrive for you. All right? Okay.
Yes, Julian's family is very, very concerned about him. Not only his father and his brother and his wife, but his kids. And, you know, it's horrible. I mean, it's torture. As Ben keeps saying, this is torture. We use words, but we don't understand the meaning. It is torture. It is a psychological violence. Why, you know, when Ben said that medical assistance, it's not just to the UN, but to doctors, to healers, they know the violence of what this is. It is torture, and
He is mad. She, sorry.
Jody, can I just say, twice a month we vigil at Merrick Garland's home with banners, and he ignores that too. So
Thank you.
I just wanted to.
Thank you.
You can talk about that.
So what is it that, you know, Merrick Garland and Biden want to ignore the outrage about this, while the United States is not showing up for, you know, sitting at the table with Ukraine and Russia, while the United States is driving a war on China?
It's a personal thing.
I don't think it's personal. I think they want to hide in the darkness, and they know its silence is more than just.
It's in the front.
And this is only Assange related, correct?
Assange is the freedom of the press.
Okay, nothing to do with real. Thank you.
Sir, excuse me by saying so. How does your campaigning affect your business? I mean, in Israel, against weapon supplies to Ukraine, and now about Assange, how does it affect your ice cream business?
What do you think about it?
I'm not aware of it.
Trying my best. Oh man.
Не, я здесь буду стоять.
I'll go if you go.
Ну да. Не, я здесь буду стоять. Там просто две точки нужны.
Just get in there and get the shot.
Alan, come here. I want to put my backpack on my back because it has the laptop. Are all zippers zipped? It's alright.
I put mine on top of
We're all in it together. There's little space if you want to try.
Off the side here. Angle it a little bit towards your.
Ну, не хочешь находиться. это боком, вот здесь вот самое. Не накрылся. Я переслал видео. Ну, сейчас, подожди, рисуй, пойдем. Да, даже не выключишь. Ну, баскет. Часто идет женщина полицейская, и всех арестуют. Без женщины вечно туда. Ну, кстати, не будет.
Ну, давай сойдем вот внизу.
Да, непременно. Вот зараза. Я думаю, что как бы из чувства милосердия могли бы уже арестовать.
What? One take piece now. Do you want it? Do you want it? I'm gonna get
Ну да, когда выкладывают, реально.
If it's wet, it's dipping into the picture. I want to pour it, or just well, it's going to be a muff. It's a muff. It's a female dumper. I'm wet. I hold this for a second. I can pull it back a little bit. There you go.
It was not an irrelevant
great taking a video of this. That's the way to do it. Except I hope your phone's the guy.
That was my fault.
Yeah. I tried not to use my
Слушай, они тоже не дураки ходить в этот самый. Конечно.
I'm at a quarter and at 5.
I would give it to you.
No, you're very kind. Thank you. What's your name?
Luda.
Thank you. Who are you with?
Sputnik News.
Ah,
You have the manual zoom. I don't know.
when they showed us
need to see them every day so that we're all advocating for peace instead of succumbing to war.
Ну, поскольку на время миновало, то вряд ли не.
DHS police force, Cody, I think there's 3 on this car. Probably gonna happen.
Ну, вот так.
Ну да, так себе. Всегда что-то так.
You like to have police?
Вас поблагодарить.
Hey! Yeah, you're wet! We're well, we're dry. You brought an, or I brought an umbrella, no one else did. I thought you'd be down there with them.
Hey Ben. Hey Ben. Has the rain wanted to stop you at all?
No, the rain does not stop me. The sun does not stop me. It's not stopping Julian. It's not stopping me.
How do you feel right now about everything?
I feel like I'm doing everything I can.
I feel like they're purposely.
You know, if you're trying to work on an issue of injustice,
Это платежное приложение.
you can scream and yell, you can write, but the ultimate thing
Да уж что спросили.
is get arrested for disobeying
На мороженое сказал.
the unjust law.
Да. Никак.
What do you want people at home to do? What can people at home do?
Да.
People at home gotta start protesting. Gotta start protesting in front of their representatives to the federal government. They gotta write letters to the editor. It's all a political calculation. Once the authorities understand that people are so pissed off about this, they'll stop doing it.
Is there anything you want to say while we're live and we can get everyone's attention?
We need peace now, and we can't have it We need peace now for the people. We need peace now for the planet. And this, putting Julian Assange in a torture prison, is monthly. And we need the truth for peace. What does Julian say?
He says,
The first casualty of war is the truth and the way to peace. The way to peace. So your life war, we need peace. And winning is not only our own loss. All of us, every day.
I don't know. I'm gonna turn it off and on.
Pause. And then turn it off and on.
What are you teaching your children? What are we teaching our
well, it's a chilling effect on journalists, around the world.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
They're definitely trying to make an example of
Some short or something.
any journalist bring truthful information that we don't like. You're going to end up going to hell. The U.S. is going to use full force to arrest you and put you in solitary confinement. And now they're trying to put Julian in jail for the rest of his life for revealing war crimes and lying to the public. Meanwhile, the people who actually committed those crimes and lied to Congress and lied to the public, they get away scot-free. And if that's not shooting the messenger, I don't know what is.
If everybody here can call the DOJ office and tell them to let us in. Say the number, Aaron. Thank you. Comment line. What's the number? The comment
Look at the lawsuit there, Ann.
It's 202-353.
In this country. I assure you that is standard practice of police workers across this country.
Oh yeah, you're getting it hard and got a little yeah, too, and I looked, I was like, oh, it doesn't, it's just like 30% around, like,
Just do your best with what you have. Remember, first is your life.
Don't want with you when you get arrested. You have ID? I do have ID. Okay. Do you have anything else with you? Why don't we take that microphone? Car keys, anything like that. Just gonna it'll all get inventory. And it'll be handing out to the back. Anything? You have ID? You want to give me the rest of your wallet or anything else? Okay. Take your phone and go. If you like me to have your phone, when I pick you up. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Ну, слушай, все равно он там сам владелец.
Jody, do you want your watch?
Если не придет мороженое.
You want to take a picture? Olivia? No, they will take your... Oh. Yeah.
Собрать выбежать.
And they probably will take your shoelace and your belt. All have shoelaces.
Я увольняюсь. О, идет, давай.
This is all you... That is...
Вон здесь.
And this is all you...
А, нет, пока один. Извини.
I'm gonna figure out when you're getting out, like what meet you. You need to check out. Okay.
А что уже? Знал,
Нет? Мне выше платье, потому что
Рейдж.
Что?
Рейдж. Окей. Ай-яй-яй, ну сколько надо?
Robert.
So you got to do it. If you do it, you got to do it.
Over there.
Sure.
Are you okay with holding? Here we go. Put in that I will move fast. If you can't, I'm coming.
You need help getting up?
Wait, Robin.
All right. Okay, are you all going to vacate the property? Need to verbalize?
No, sir.
Okay, at this time, you're both under arrest for unlawful entry. So what I need you to do, when I understand that you're fine. I don't work for Department of Justice. So what I want to do is, you said you were going to be compliant with the arrest process, so if I could, maybe you can stand up.
Free Julian Assange! Free
Free
Julian Assange!
Free Julian Assange!
Free Julian
Ma'am,
Assange!
can I get you to stand up, please?
Free Julian Assange!
Well, can you get her? I'll get him. Okay. All right. Grab this guy. Grab this guy. Put him
As wide as I can go.
Free Julian Assange! 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 Free Julian
Is that good?
Assange!
You comfortable?
Free Julian
Well, this
Assange!
officer will be taking you that way.
Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free, thank you! Woo! Thank you! Woo! No justice, no peace! No justice, no peace! No justice, no peace! No justice, no peace!
Right here, Con. You take him right here.
Okay. We're done. Let's go.
We'll put her in your
Free Julian Assange for peace, for the planet, for the future. We must have the truth if we're going to have a future. We can't let these warmongers just go free.
I got her ID.
Sorry, Andrew.
Got her? Okay. We have his ID.
Free Julian Assange for peace, for justice, for the people, for a future. It's a crime what the United States is doing to them. It's torture. It's an international crime. It has to stop.
Excuse me.
Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange for peace, for a future, for the people. Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange.
Okay.
It's okay.
You don't have a belt or shoelaces, nothing like that? Okay, they won't be able to go ahead and put them on the books. Do you want them to put on the books, or do you want to step back out or remove them, and then you can put them, give them to the gentleman here? Okay. All right, thanks. Okay, I'm going to reach in. Hey, Wilson. Hey, we're going to get him back out, take his belt off and his shoelaces. All right, cool.
Let me take off your belt.
Yeah.
I got both their IDs. Okay. No. We'll have him sit down. We'll have him sit. You want to back in? Turn around. There you go. No. Turn around. All right. Yeah, all he can take is his ID, belt, shoelaces, any personal property, jewelry, nothing like that. You don't have any watch or jewelry or something like that? Okay, that'll have to be taken off as well. You can leave that inside. So we'll have to give it to him, or put it on the books if you'd rather do that. Are you sure? Well, it's going to be easier for you because that way you don't have to go back. Because we can't take a copy of that when we leave. It'll be back at the protection area. Okay. All right, so one ring.
Oh, okay.
I'm protesting Julian Assange in public. So I'm solitary abomination, violation. Can we double check if he's got no shoelaces or belt? Because if we did, yeah, we're taking it off right now.
Okay.
I don't have out of practice.
At least your socks in your way.
Coming out, yep. So we can bring on, yeah. Patrick, have a ring.
Good? Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. So you're verifying that he has all your property?
I am verifying that.
Okay.
You
Yes,
are
sir.
not responsible for anything except my body.
Yes, sir. Okay, we'll get back in again.
Buddy first.
Shame. You guys should be so ashamed of yourself. Ashamed of yourself.
Handcuff him in the front.
In the face of real courage, this is what you do. In the face of courage, you put him in the back of your car. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. You should be so ashamed of yourself. Shame on you. Complete disregard for human rights. Shame on you. Shame on you. You should be so embarrassed right now. You should be so embarrassed at what you're doing right now. Completely and totally embarrassed. I feel sorry for all of you. Do you believe in the Constitution? That's the
All right, so we're going to
battle
Tuesday?
test. You should
Okay.
be ashamed.
Up in Northwest.
Complete total shame on you.
Okay.
Shame on you. Shame. Shame on you. Shame. Shame. You guys should be so ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. Complete shame.
Too late.
Shame. Terrible. Terrible. Shame. Shame.
Too reflective. That's great.
Right,
Thank
yeah,
you.
you can barely see it.
Brandon, that's great. Okay, to my folks watching, Ben Cohen, the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream company, and Jody Evans, the co-founder of CodePink, Women for Peace, which is an anti-war organization, were both arrested for blockading the entrance of the Department of Justice here on Constitution Avenue, demanding a meeting with Merrick Garland, which was certainly not granted, and then sitting in and blocking an entrance when that meeting was refused. As you can see, kind of being taken away now. And that first car was Ben Cohen of Ben & Jerry's. They started off by setting fire to a large copy of the Bill of Rights. That actually did not lead them to be arrested. The police kind of let them do that. They had pre-announced that that was their plan. Then they shifted over to the entrance where they did the sit-in, which ultimately led to their arrests about an hour in. A pretty torrential thunderstorm actually started kind of in the middle of it. So what you'll see when I get this HD footage up is that there was quite a lot of rain fall on them as they were doing their sit-in. There goes Jody Evans now, and it was the Federal Protective Service, so to be clear, not the Department of Justice per se, that actually made the arrest, nor MPD, local DC police. So it was federal agents who ultimately arrested them. So with that, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will have HD